Welcome back, Sebastian here. Today I'm going to be doing my preview of the 2024 Austrian Grand Prix. So of course this is a track that I always look forward to every year. Very decent racing, decent overtaking. It's also, a quite difficult track. It's one that you really need a whole lot of skill to get perfectly right. So first, taking a look at last year's race, won of course by Max Verstappen, as most of last year's races were, followed up by Charles Leclerc in second and Sergio Perez in third. Perez recovered from 15th on the grid after being unable to set a lap time within track limits in Q2. We had somewhat of a battle between Verstappen and Leclerc for the lead towards the midpoint of the race, and there were a lot of penalties after the race and during the race for track limits, including Esteban Ocon receiving a 30-second time penalty after the race for track limits. Now, looking at the track itself, 4.318 kilometers. We're going to have 71 laps on Sunday. One of the shorter tracks of the season, which means that, for example, qualifying and making sure you're not blocking other drivers can be a challenge. It also means it's easier to lap other cars, so you will potentially see more issues with blue flags, potentially impeding the leaders towards the end of the race. Race lap record is a 105.619 set by Carlos Sainz in 2020. I was a bit surprised by that when I saw that. Of course, this is a track that's known for having very aggressive curbs that can be very difficult on the car, and track limits, as we know, like I said before, can be a big issue. And because of the layout of the circuit, corner exit, particularly from turn 1, turn 10, turns 1, and turn 3, can be very important for making overtaking moves into the aforementioned turn 1, turn 3, and turn 4. Of course, you have triple DRS, which means that if you make a move at one corner, it's possible for the driver who is passed to repass the next corner. So of course, racing should be very, very good around this track, which is why it's one that I always look forward to every year. Now, taking a look at the tires for this weekend, C5, C4, C3, the softest 3 tires in the Pirelli range. And of course, this is a sprint weekend, so we have a whole lot of extra sessions. Not sure if I'm going to be able to take videos of everything, but I'm going to try my best. And obviously, also, I'm recording this a week in advance because of timing reasons. I'm going to be out traveling next week, so won't have time to make the review when this goes live. But starting with, in blue, Formula 2 free practice, 10:03, I believe that's a 10:05 local time in the morning. Then we have FP1, 12:30 p.m., qualifying for Formula 2, 2:55 in the afternoon, and then sprint qualifying 4:30 in the afternoon on Friday. Then we move into Saturday. The sprint for the F1 will be at noon, and then the sprint race for Formula 2, 1:30 p.m. local time. Qualifying for the main Grand Prix on Sunday, 4 p.m. on Saturday, so the last race of the day. Then we get to Sunday, and there's only 2 events. Feature race for Formula 2, 10 a.m., and then the Grand Prix at 3 p.m. sharp. Of course, you'll have Formula 3 there as well, so and I believe Porsche Super Cup as well, so lots and lots of action for fans all throughout the day. Now, before we get into predictions for this weekend, I'm going to look at the best drivers in qualifying based on data from 2010 to 2023. But of course, this is a track that was only really reintroduced in 2014, so that's not really an issue. Now, looking at the best drivers in terms of qualifying head-to-head, first we have Norris, 100% has out-qualified his teammate every year he's raced here, on average 0.3 of a second or so. Number 2, we have Hulkenberg, 86%, on average 1.3 tenths of a second. Then we got third Leclerc, 83%, and again 1.8 tenths of a second. So a bit surprising to not see Max Verstappen on this list. I would expect, I think, a couple of the earlier years against Sainz, Ricciardo, I think he was out-qualified, which is why he's not in the top 3. In terms of worst 3 drivers, we have Perez at 30% on average, out-qualified by 0.3 of a second. Tsunoda, 33% on average, out-qualified by 0.2 of a second. And third, Ocon, 33%, out-qualified on average by 1.5 tenths of a second. Now, I mentioned the curbs quite a bit in my just in my discussion of the track itself, and I think we know that the curbs is something that Red Bull's really had an issue in Canada, had issues in Monaco, and to a lesser extent in Imola as well. And we've seen that their race pace advantage has really kind of fallen away in the last 3 to 4 races. I think you can make an argument that Norris could have won Imola if the track was a bit wider. He of course won Miami just drove away from Verstappen in the second half of that race. So I do think this is a race where the race win is really up for grabs. And because we know that the curves are such a big component here in making sure that you get a good exit, if you can't ride the curves, it's going to lead to issues. So for that reason, the first time in the history of this channel, I'm actually predicting someone other than Max Verstappen to win the Grand Prix. I'm going to predict Lando Norris win. I think they should do pretty well here. Not sure. I think they're going to do very, very well in the end of Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3 with those medium speed corners. And it's really going to be about, are they going to be fast enough on the straights and good enough in turns 3, 4, and 1 to go against the Ferraris and the Red Bull. I think for number 2, I think it's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Charles Leclerc again, maybe a bit of a surprise. This is a track that, again, Leclerc has shown that he can do a really good job on, and they, of course, won this race in 2022. And number 3, I'm actually going to go with Max Verstappen. I do think he'll still have enough to get on the podium, but I do worry that for this particular track, I'm not sure how well they're going to go. And of course, like I said, I'm filming this before the Spanish Grand Prix, so we don't even know what's happened in Spain that may have influenced my predictions for this race. But there you go. There's my predictions for the 2024 Austrian Grand Prix. Should be a good one. Should have quite a bit of uncertainty for this race as to who's going to come out on top. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.